Nelson is a licensed lender under the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 331060.
This is Nelson from Nelson Radio, and it's important that we talk about a very serious issue. We had bad lending practices that led to the mortgage meltdown, but now we've got the challenge of deplorable customer service coming out of the meltdown. Bottom line, getting a new loan can be like pulling teeth without Novocaine. I've got the solution. Academy Mortgage and my team are injecting into the industry real performance and real accountability. Here are the facts. Appraisals in less than a week. Rate guarantees that can improve if the market goes down. Purchase transactions with our market-exclusive close-on-time guarantees and refinance transactions in as little as 30 days. Who would have thunk? Guaranteed rates and guaranteed performance from your mortgage lender. Call me, Nelson, an accountable loan expert for nearly 3 decades, direct at 888-888-2136. That's Nelson at 888-888-2136, 888-888-2136, or at strongcreditrewards.com.
Nelson.
Good gravy.
A radio host.
Found myself $2 million short of a millionaire.
Barely understandable.
Gee, Monetti.
We can rebuild him.
Guy's bright as a napkin.
We have the technology.
You gotta work with design, vision, and focus.
Better than he was before.
It's not lonely in my head.
Funnier.
I'm staring at a bowl of spaghetti trying to figure out which two ends come together.
More informative.
Characters defined by what you do once you screw up, not if you make mistakes along the way.
And just as sarcastic.
You sausage.
Oh, come on!
Give us 60 minutes and we'll give you Nelson Radio every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. on KTLK AM 1150. With 29 years in the mortgage business and an array of top-level guests visiting the show, Nelson is in a unique position to bring you cutting-edge information on real estate, business, finance, and law. If you have any questions for Nelson or any of his guests, give him a call at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Or check him out online at nelsonradio.com.
Nelson Radio.
KTLK AM 1150, you're listening to Nelson Radio. I'm Nelson, and I'm here with the co-host extraordinaire, Marco Rufo, out of Pacific Palisades with Prudential. How you doing, Marco?
Very good, Nelson. I always love your intros. They're so polite and kind. And
yeah, nothing like I am in person, right?
Well, you know.
This is the thing, you know, when you get on radio, it's a little bit guarded. For those of you listening out there, I really do have this, well, as Marco would say, this caustic sarcasm, and I don't feel equipped to use it against you. I think that you'd cut me off of the knees or something.
You know, you have very good insight there.
Yeah,
very good insight.
Go right to your Italian roots. I'm just missing one day. So we got a great show coming up. With this show, we're taking a look at Innovators. And last week we took a look at an acronym, SFGB, Stare Forward, Glance Back. And that's really, I think, this is a follow-up to that, where we need to take a look at what's around the corner. And our guests today are going to be focusing on that in terms of some of the things that are their own innovations and some of the things that they're bringing to our marketplace. And then, obviously, we're going to take a look as well. A lot of political attention in the news this week with our President Obama talking about housing reform and at the global level talking about the dismantling of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac may have no impact to our homeowners, the housing market. I don't know.
But definitely serious topics for a lot of people in our communities.
And then we're going to have Rick Kurtz come on board from Dynamic Resources, having trained over 500,000 real estate agents across the U.S. I mean, really one of the founding members of our marketplace on his practices and ways to excel in the industry. And then, of course, we're going to be with our Street Noise guests, Kelly Johnson and Brian Chu. Kelly from the law offices of Kelly S. Johnson and Brian Chu from O.C. Wilson Trust, taking a look at what's happening in their markets. In fact, we're going to open up with Kelly Johnson. Are you with us, Kelly?
I sure am, Nelson. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for coming on the show. If you have any questions as we go through our program, reach out to us. You can reach any of our guests. They're all qualified professionals as a part of Nelson Radio's Affinity Network. 888-888-2136. 888-2136. I'm being told to say that number so slow. To me, it's 888-888-2136. How hard can it be? But I'm going to try and slow that down. 888-888-2136 or at nelsonradio.com. Kelly, you're scrambling here with perhaps a heavy volume of bankruptcy activity. And I wanted to ask you that question. As we look at Innovators, do you find a creative authority with your bankruptcy law practice in terms of the right way to structure those filings?
Well, exactly, Nelson. A lot of times, especially nowadays with the dynamic real estate industry, a lot of times we're utilizing the bankruptcy process to quite often either retain real estate or put homeowners in a position to deal with their lender on a more even basis to try to maybe modify the terms of the loan. So, as you know, the lenders over the last couple of years have been steamrolling over a lot of the homeowners. There's been lawsuits, there's been federal claims, state claims, etc. So what I try to do is keep people in their homes and utilize what we can to combat these giants in the industry.
So, Kelly, let me ask you, this is Mark Rufo here. So you're saying that the threatening approach is more likely to get a response than not. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, you need to defend yourself and protect yourself because, 3, 4, 5 years ago, as many people were losing their homes, they didn't understand why. They didn't think they did anything wrong. But yet, at that point, everyone had not realized that the lenders were kind of not playing a fair game, so to speak. So you really needed to do something to protect yourself so that you're not taken advantage of and lose your home unnecessarily.
Let me ask you something, though. Haven't you seen a steep decline in the foreclosure process and also bankruptcy?
Well, not necessarily. Unfortunately, it's still there. And I just read something the other day that even though the lenders reached this federal settlement, they're supposed to be doing things a certain way. They're now back somewhat to their old practices, and based on the settlement, unfortunately, they're able to do these things that previously were prohibited. So I'm still kind of scratching my head, and consumers and homeowners and borrowers are looking at ways to protect themselves in this changing environment.
Amazing.
Good insights. Kelly, thanks for being with us. That's Kelly Johnson, the law offices of Kelly S. Johnson. And, of course, you can reach Kelly with any of your real estate questions by getting a hold of us through nelsonradio.com. Let's jump over to Brian Chu at OC Wills and Trust Attorneys. So, Brian, thanks for being with us. And I have this question for you. With your business practice, your law practice, and your working in the estate planning sector, I call it the distraction of the immediate. I think most, Marco, feel like, yeah, I need an estate plan. I need to protect my family, have a vision, a roadmap for the assets when something happens.
You couldn't be more right about that, Nelson, but I got to tell you, the majority of people at the end of the day don't go follow through. They just don't follow through.
So with that, the distraction of the immediate, Brian, what are you doing to cattle prod these people into paying attention to things that they need to pay attention to?
Well, Nelson and Mark, I think the biggest thing is just letting them know what could happen if they don't make a decision, if they don't move forward, what mess can be left behind for their children or the people they love, whether it be the government deciding who's going to take care of their kids, the government deciding who's going to get their funds. And as part of that process, if they don't make these decisions, who's going to make those decisions, and how much are they going to have to pay the attorney to make sure that these decisions are made properly?
Yeah, that makes sense. Brian, quickly, with the changes that we're seeing, obviously Obama's talking about housing reform. Our rule book and guidelines in the lending industry seems to be changing week to week. Is there that kind of reformation and change in estate planning?
I mean, there's more minor changes in estate planning. I mean, for the most part, most of us don't have to worry about estate taxes because the current exemption is $5 million. But for most of the, that own a home and have kids, some of the things that, especially even if you've had the foresight to do your estate planning, is making sure that your estate plan is up to date and it does reflect the most recent changes in the law. And as an example, a lot of my clients, or even not my clients, people that bring me existing trusts, they have provisions in there that make the trust very cumbersome upon one of the spouses passing, and because of recent changes in the law, that cumbersomeness doesn't have to be in the trust anymore. So
not only do you have the estate plan that you need, but it needs to be maintained on a periodic
reviewed,
basis.
And gone over. Wow,
yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. All right, Brian, thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
That's Brian Chu, OC Wills and Trust. This segment brought to you by Best Chauffeured, worry-free and on-time transportation services. Marco, they're in the limousine business, they're in the luxury bus business, but they also specialize in the corporate sector, transportation to and from the airports and events, and doesn't necessarily need to be a limo. So they're a great asset to rely on, especially in this day and age where DUI activity is up.
Oh, boy.
A lot of thirsty people out there. Best Chauffeured. You can reach us anytime. 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. The most complicated number in the world. We'll be right back.
The Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower costs. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778 or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license 023501.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation with you. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Being drunk wasn't even a consideration. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red, the arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, someway category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce you to Orange County's office of Michael L. Feld, nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. Recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction, the record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Feld direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-278-5559. That's 949-278-5559 for the law office of Michael L. Feld. 949-278-5559, or you can text the letters OCDUI to 313131. Welcome back to Nelson Radio. We're right here in Burbank at KTLK AM 1150's headquarters, studios, and our show every Saturday, 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Purpose of our show to bring wise insight. There it is, Marco, wise insight.
Absolutely wise.
And in all seriousness, especially with the confusion that's out there, there's no shortage of opinion in Southern California. You probably didn't realize this. No shortage of opinion, but what I find, that opinion drives people to veer to the left, drives people then to veer to the right, and then both groups saying, oh, no, you got to be in the middle.
You know, it's what's hot at the moment.
Yeah.
Nelson. So...
Well, we have a great guest that's going to talk a little bit about where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. That peek around the curtain in terms of our show's theme today, The Innovator. And I'm pleased to announce that we have the CEO and founder of Resource Dynamics, Rick Kurtz. And Marco, this may surprise you. It surprised me. Rick has trained over 500,000 agents across the U.S. over his 29-year career. That, to me, sounds like a big number.
It is a very big number, so it's obviously over quite a few years.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Welcome to the program, Rick.
29 as of this May.
29. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And a few economic changes over those 3 decades, huh?
Wow, big time, yes.
So let me lead with that in terms of the question. In your training, you've had your systems and methods and principles that produce, bottom line, that create a very productive outcome, but that's morphed over time.
It has a lot, and I think a really good way for people to understand the change would be, obviously what the internet did to the real estate industry is very simple. You know, it gave people access to data that used to be exclusive and proprietary only to a realtor. So now what has happened is the consumers gained so much control, and they are highly educated, quite savvy, and some are quite sophisticated. And the way that they communicate with a realtor and their expectations are totally different. And what used to work in the past has what I believe to be very limited results. Today, what I would tell you the biggest difference is the most successful agents that cross our path today are very good at giving people what they want and making it real easy for them to get it.
Well, Marco, and that's a cornerstone of your practice. Marco's over in the Pacific Palisades with Prudential California Realty. And you're dealing in the luxury market. You're dealing with a very accomplished buyer and seller more times than not. To me, that sets the stage for all chiefs and no Indians.
Rick is absolutely correct on that. Is paving the road for them to make it as simple as process and enjoyable as possible. And it's not always that easy, but yes, I'm dealing with a lot of very astute people that don't have a lot of time. So you got to cut through all the nonsense and get to the actual, more important points.
Do you have to win or overcome that to be the depended on consult, or are they coming in and telling you, hey, I want you to do this, this, and this?
Well, the way that I operate, there are clientele that come in and say this is what they want, but then I'm very strong in my beliefs and how I proceed with my business, so I kind of change that around a little bit.
So Rick, share with us a little bit about the training that you do, and specifically coming up in Long Beach on the 26th and 27th. You have a seminar,
right.
2-day seminar. Give us a peek behind the curtain.
Okay, so what we do is very simple. What we have is a very unique program that was created by realtors for realtors. And the reason I make that point up front is obviously in 29 years, I've done a lot of different things. It evolved from promoting Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy when I was at the beginnings, and then it evolved to doing large educational DRE accreditation, continuing education things with Coldwell Banker and Century 21 and blah, blah, blah. And then it evolved from there to working with speakers and trainers, like many people are very used to hearing the big names in the business. But my point, and I'm leading up to this, is where we ended up is what was most relevant, which is what most agents want to hear or need to hear is from realtors that do it every day. So it's really the bottom line, because what agents lack in this business of residential real estate are systems. And I believe every agent is well-intended. I truly do. But well-intended or not, regardless of experience or success, most agents don't have a system that they follow every day or really every week. So what we do, which is quite unique, is we have 6 agents that are all different, and they all have different strengths. And we put together a system, which is called System 7. And we teach that program a couple times a year in different parts of the country. And I'm very privileged that these agents work with us. And the answer to your question and the different spin on it would be, it's agents teaching agents. And the difference with our program in comparison to others out there is it's all practical and it's all relevant and it's all duplicatable. So for example, we go through marketing and lead generation. We go through sellers, buyers, FSBOs, expired, social media, website, lead generation, incubation, follow-up, follow-through.
FSBOs for sale by owners.
Yeah,
Okay.
everything. And my point is each agent at our program has a strength. For example, someone up in Northern California that works the high-end market is an expired expert. And they go through, or he goes through, step 1, step 2, step 3, day 1, day 2, day 3. Here's what I do. Here's why I do it. Here's my non-threatening, relevant package of benefit to a consumer. And here is why they would contact me in relation to selling their property. I will say this too, and I think it's real important for people to hear. I think the most important thing for any agent on planet Earth is to generate appointments, because no appointments equal no deals, and no deals equal no commissions. So why on earth would anybody sell real estate? And what I've seen I'm serious, man. Yeah. And what I've seen in 29 years, God knows how many awesome, intelligent people I've seen cross my desk. But at the end of the day, what separates them is the appointments. And what people forget is your appointment calendar reflects your income and your success.
Right.
I did a presentation earlier today, and people asked me, okay, well, what's most important? I said, your appointment calendar. I said, what you should ask yourself is how many appointments you have this week, how many did you have last week, how many did you have last month, because your appointment calendar never lies. And if you had a lot of great appointments in the last quarter, well, you made a lot of money, know? And,
or at least you're on the right road.
You're on the right road, yeah.
Absolutely. Your appointment should be full all week long.
And what all boils down to lead generation. And what consumers have become insensitive to and non-responsive to are closing tactics and pressure tactics. Because what happened in this industry is the same thing that happened in other large industries. People are much more educated. They don't need the knowledge they used to. They really do. I believe they do, but they feel like I've got access to it anyway.
So let me ask you this question. Yeah. This is coming right out of the Stump the Experts, and that is one of our home buyers is asking the question, in an environment of multiple offers, do I need agent representation? That's coming from the selling side. So they're thinking they can drive a stake in the front lawn and just serve Gatorade and lemonade and a line out to the garage.
I let me jump in real quick.
No, go ahead.
In that particular situation, you need an agent even more. The fallout rate right now, from what we're seeing in our luxury market,
I totally agree.
In our luxury market is 27%.
Yeah.
So that means they run into escrow because there is a multiple offer situation going on, and they don't follow through. First ins and even backups falling out of escrow.
Let me stop you right there. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to have you both come back in just a second. This segment brought to you by Academy Mortgage, providing our market-exclusive lock and shop rate guarantee. Rick, this is where we freeze the interest rate before a property is even identified. It's waiting for you at the finish line. There's not the concern that during the identification and negotiation of the property that rates are going to creep up and maybe price that property out of my stretch. And so the famed lock and shop rate guarantee that's available by contacting us direct, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136, or through nelsonradio.com. We'll be right back with the answer on why you need that agent. This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation with you. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Being drunk wasn't even a consideration. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red, the arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, someway category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce you to Orange County's Office of Michael L. Feld. Nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. Recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction, the record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Feld direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-278-5559. That's 949-278-5559 for the law office of Michael L. Feld. 949-278-5559, or you can text the letters OCDUI to 313131.
The Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST, or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST, or online at bestchauffeured.com.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower cost. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778 or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license 0235301.
Welcome back to Nelson Radio on KTLK AM 1150. We've been spending time with Rick Kurtz, the CEO and founder of Resource Dynamics, a trainer that has positioned and developed over 500,000 agents across the U.S. It's giving us some insights. And right before we broke, we were talking about that perception that maybe I don't need an agent. It's a world of multiple offers. I drive a for sale sign into the front lawn, and I just start filling out deposit slips on that sale coming through. Not that easy.
You know, I'm going to let Rick take the second part of this. Go ahead, Rick. I mean,
I couldn't disagree with that more. I think agent representation is key. I think it is a security. I think it's intelligent. And I mean, look, if I was taking myself, I don't negotiate real estate deals for a living. That's not what I do.
Right.
I mean, if you get good professional representation, it's worth its weight in gold. You know, that's what they do. That, you know, they know the rules, they know the professional guidelines, and I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of consumers get in a lot of big trouble trying to represent themselves. I just don't think it makes sense. I frankly think it's a bit greedy, to be honest with you. I think agents are worth every nickel that they charge, as long as they provide that value. But what a seller forgets sometimes is how simple little mistakes can cost them so much.
Right.
If you had professional representation from a gentleman like Mark sitting next to me, I mean, especially in a luxury market,
right?
You make one mistake, it costs you six figures.
6 figures. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And it happens all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. In a blink.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
I would never recommend it.
There's so many pitfalls from the moment that you put your house up for sale to closing a deal. And if you don't have a seasoned person representing your biggest asset in your life,
right,
you are making a crucial mistake.
I agree.
So let me ask you, with your training, you have these 6 disciplines that you bring people along. Is it speaking to some of these pitfalls as well, or is that not a component of it?
You know, I would say we go into that a little bit, but truthfully, our program is more focused on what to do first, what to do second, what to do third, you know, how to generate a lead, what to do before the lead, how to represent yourself prior to going on to an appointment. For example, sending a seller a pre-list package. Here's who I am. Here's why you should list with me and my company. Here's my plan. What to present at a listing presentation, what people are most interested in. You know, a lot of agents, I'll tell you respectfully, they go too much on I'm number one, I'm this, I'm that. I've done this, I've done that.
Have you ever met an agent that hasn't been number one?
Good point.
Yeah, no
Good
one's
point.
number 2, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But I think what I would politely suggest to people is to remember that everybody cares about themselves and their family.
Right.
Before me or you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And Mark made a really good point. It's, you know, in Americans, it's absolutely, most people, it's their largest asset. It's a sensitive situation. And people should remember how important it is.
You know, one point that I want to add to Rick's comments here regarding, you know, listing presentation, the biggest failure that a real estate broker can make is when you go into a listing presentation, and yes, like he said, it's all about the agent, it's all about the company, it's all about how great you are, right? What they fail to realize, it's actually nothing about you. It's about the person you're there to listen to. So be quiet, listen, answer when asked a question, and go with the flow. You really have to find the rhythm, and a lot of agents fail. And the reason why they fail is because they're insecure. They feel self-conscious that, oh, maybe if I say the wrong thing, I'm not going to get it. So they talk it up. And that's the wrong thing.
It seems like it's almost that world wrestling kinds of presentation where certain agents should be coming down the gangplank and then there's steam and smoke and pyrotechnic things going off and here I am. But it's not that.
It's not.
I have something really important to add. You know what I've learned a lot of agents do that they could do so much better is, like Mark said, they need to learn to listen. And what a lot of agents do is they go in and they kill the deal. Because what they do is they go in and they talk and talk and talk and talk. And if they had systems, like what the agents do at our program is they teach them systems to communicate with the consumer and let the consumer tell them what's most important. For example, I'll give you something real basic. If an agent walks in and they don't know that Chris and I are really sensitive to open houses, we've had a negative experience with one of our homes, and we wouldn't be comfortable working with an agent that would do those. If an agent came in and didn't know that, and they sat there for 15 minutes and told us how great they were at open houses, how they were the strength of their business, that they're dead.
That's it.
I mean, we're polite. We'd listen to them. We'd let them finish, but that's not going to work for Chris and I. And what agents forget is backing out of that and trying to convince us that that's really not their strength and that's really not what they're going to do. We wouldn't be comfortable with that. Instead of what? Walking in, having a simple checklist or a format, for example. What's most important to you? 0, least important, 5, most. You know, open houses, commissions, saleability, pricing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, if someone knows, hey, I'm concerned on a 5 here, then obviously you know up front in the first 10 minutes, man, I better be sensitive to this. Instead of what? Coming in and shooting yourself in the head?
Right. You're listening to Nelson Radio. I'm with Marco Rufo. We have Rick Kurtz, the CEO and founder of Resource Dynamics, with us, and his upcoming seminar up in Long Beach Hilton, on August 26th and 27th. Let me frame up this question for you. Marco is a seasoned professional, one of the premier agents in his area of Pacific Palisades. Why does he need to be at your seminar?
Everybody, I think, no matter what, should be open to something new. Nobody knows everybody doesn't. Most people feel like I know a lot, and a lot of people are really good at it. But then there's always that 2, 3, 4 things that you could learn from somebody that would make a really big difference. And, you know, I think that there's a lot of practical information. I think there's simple information. And
let me add to that. You know, to answer your question, I think you're absolutely right. And the reason for that is we're a tool. And we have to sharpen our tool. We forget things. We put things aside. Oh, wow. Have you ever said to yourself, you know, I just learned, you learn something every day. The saying, I learn something every day. Well, that's the reason why.
You know, it's funny because it reminds me of a talking to that I got to from my dad when I was flying. And he's a pilot, and he said, remember this, there's old pilots and bold pilots, but there's not any old, bold pilots. And as you get more senior in your practice, whatever discipline, it's easy to go, yeah, I can thump my chest, and now I'm tenured and I'm bold in my business. But you do need to sharpen those tools.
You got to sharpen the tool. I'm a true believer that their education never stops.
To say that the business in Southern California is competitive is an understatement. And to think that you know everything that's just not a good thing to be.
And especially coming out of the Great Recession, where it is the new normal from a business environment, with our Commander-in-Chief, President Obama, waving the flag of reform for our housing industry. And who knows what that means? I don't. We're going to be talking about that as we go into the next segment. But it's important that we do sharpen our tools and just become better educated. Education never hurt anybody, right?
Never hurt anybody.
Never. Systems create a predictable, consistent outcome.
There you go. That's Rick Kurtz from Resource Dynamics, and his seminar coming up on August 26th and 27th. The real estate agent community across Southern California should take a look at this. You can resource Rick's information through nelsonradio.com or give us a call direct at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Stay tuned. We've got Coach's Corner and really one of the most unique home builders that I've ever come across in my career. Coming up, stay with us.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients' money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower cost. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778 or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license 0235301.
Nelson is a licensed lender under the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 331060.
This is Nelson from Nelson Radio, and it's important that we talk about a very serious issue. We had bad lending practices that led to the mortgage meltdown, but now we've got the challenge of deplorable customer service coming out of the meltdown. Bottom line, getting a new loan can be like pulling teeth without Novocaine. I've got the solution. Academy Mortgage and my team are injecting into the industry real performance and real accountability. Here are the facts. Appraisals in less than a week. Rate guarantees that can improve if the market goes down. Purchase transactions with our market-exclusive close-on-time guarantees and refinance transactions in as little as 30 days. Who would have thunk? Guaranteed rates and guaranteed performance from your mortgage lender. Call me, Nelson, an accountable loan expert for nearly 3 decades, direct at 888-888-2136. That's Nelson at 888-888-2136, 888-888-2136, or at strongcreditrewards.com. This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation with you. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Being drunk wasn't even a consideration. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red, the arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, some way category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce you to Orange County's Office of Michael L. Feld. Nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. Recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction, the record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Feld direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-278-5559. That's 949-278-5559 for the law office of Michael L. Feld. 949-278-5559, or you can text the letters OCDUI to 313131.
The Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
Welcome back to Nelson Radio, heard right here on KTLK AM 1150, Saturdays from 2 to 3 o'clock. I'm with my special guest host, Marco Rufo from Prudential California Realty in Pacific Palisades, and also Rick Kurtz, the CEO and founder of Resource Dynamics. And for the two of you, I've teased you with what our next guest was going to be in Coach's Corner, and this is a phenomenal story. And I want to introduce you to Pete Nelson. Pete, are you with us?
I sure am. Thank you.
So let me just tee this up a little bit because I think it's so dynamic. Pete, you started your career in the traditional home building business, correct?
That is correct, in 1987.
So from the grassroots, I remember off air you shared with me a mentor that you had, a fellow by the name of Ed, who was a home builder, and it seemed to be an attraction for you through your early career to be hands-on, developing things, exercising that creative authority. Take it from there and tell us what's led to your current development practice.
Well, I've always been a builder. I mean, I knew as a boy, probably 7 years old, sort of in your blood. I mean, you got to build things, and I love the process, all of it. You know, the design, the execution. I'm not a big, I'm not a patient person, which is maybe my biggest downfall, in that I don't like to wait a year for a permit like we often have to in some of the leftover lots here in Seattle. But that's basically what I did. I moved from Colorado Springs. Ed Biggs was my mentor there, who taught me how to build houses really from scratch, and how to manage a project like that, where you design it and shepherd it through the building permit process, and then the building process itself, and finally sell it to ideally a very excited new homeowner. Anyway, I hooked up with him, and I was siding some of his houses as a college student, and then he taught me the ropes, and then when I went on to Seattle, my wife is from Oregon, and in fact she lived in Pacific Palisades as a very young woman. I mean, this is a long time ago.
How about that?
60s, gorgeous place. And anyway, she dragged me kicking and screaming to Seattle, the rainy Northwest, and so we ended up in Seattle. I got a business plan together. Washington Federal, a great savings and loan. Now I think they're called a savings bank, but they financed these early deals, and I built houses, one at a time, leftover lots, steep problem lots that were either, very steep or had water or issues. They were in older neighborhoods, and I just learned a lot about structure, engineering, and how, an engineer will crush your dreams in terms of like the reality of what it takes to hold a building up in a nice seismic 4 earthquake zone and all of that. So,
Pete, you've stretched the boundaries of steep and speculative with your development business. So, share with our listeners what you're actually building up in the Northwest and across the world, for that matter, now.
So I always had a dream, in this sort of ADD way of building smaller structures that maybe didn't involve spending a year at the building department trying to get a permit for something, and they in fact are tree houses. And I've had this crazy idea for many, many years, and I just imagined that I could be maybe a treehouse builder, and the market, of course, it was, I guess you'd say, underdeveloped, in that most tree houses were being built by 12, 14-year-olds, and there was no budget to be at all.
So he excelled. He was competing against 12, 14.
And here's what I want you to do. If you're in front of your computer and listening to this, you got to Google or Bing Treehouse Masters with Pete Nelson, because he's talking, these aren't tree houses with little platforms and rope swings. There's certainly that as a component, but some of these tree houses, give us some of the examples of some of your projects where they are anything but just that kid's little tree house.
Well, the neat thing is, with the background of building houses and understanding the real weight of some of these structures, is, the tree house that we built as kids was often just a little tiny lightweight, 2x4s and plywood or leftover signs. But it was, the vision I had as an adult was something, even a 200 square foot fully appointed room will weigh 16,000 pounds before you know it, and so how you accommodate that is a bit of a challenge. We're going to put that up into a tree, and so with the background of understanding that there's some serious forces involved, I hooked up with an engineer by the name of Charlie Greenwood, who's based in Oregon, and he's really a remarkable genius, I think, and he has done all the homework to figure out what a tree can handle in terms of, sheer strength, like literally the sheer strength of the bolt that you put to the side of the tree, and then hang a beam off of it or perch a beam on top of it. And we're finding that with a certain type of hardware, and this is something that's been going on for now, this was mid-'90s when we were making these discoveries, I guess, is that you put a bolt into the side of a good hardwood tree or a Douglas fir tree, and it might be the bolts we use are 3 inches in diameter, and it goes in about 9 inches into the tree. And if you put a weight on that connection, you can support anywhere from 6,000 to 15,000 pounds.
But let me ask something, Pete. You talked about you putting a nail in or screw. You said screw, I believe, into a Douglas fir or something. What about the tree? What are you doing to the tree itself?
This is the greatest news, and it was worrisome at the beginning when we were invading a tree like this. But in fact, the tree is responding so remarkably well. I mean, it makes sense when you think about it. A 3-inch steel bolt is not unlike a branch that sticks out of the side of any tree. And the trees are, of course, used to having branches, and they just simply grow wood, and they do every year. They put another ring on, and it absorbs these bolts. And in fact, these bolts get stronger over time as they're absorbed by the tree. So, yeah, I mean, the tree physiologically is responding in a really
a positive way.
Yeah. Let me ask you: Do you have harborists all the time? Yelling at you, writing you letters about what you're doing, or are they behind you? No.
More good news here. It's amazing. I was so worried. My first book I did on the subject came out in 1994, and I was so worried that I was going to get a lot of hate mail from arborists and people that were just concerned I was killing the trees.
Share with us the title of that first book.
That was called Tree Houses, The Art and Craft of Living Out on a Limb, published by Houghton Mifflin, 1994. Did really, really well, but it was really the first treehouse book. There are many, many now, but in fact, I've written 5, and a 6th is coming out next spring. But
Marco, Rick Kurtz, it's interesting. I just wanted to point out that Pete is now developing these tree houses across the world. It's an international campaign, and I wanted before we let you go, Pete, have you share just the one project that you said was one of your most exciting in West Falmouth, Snug Harbor. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, it was just one of the greatest places. I'm an architecture buff. I love design and residential design, and it's the birthplace of the shingle style. This is on Cape Cod. Anyway, I was asked to come back to that area in, it was the year 2000, and so it was quite a while ago, but the memory stands out because I really worked hard to try to make something classic and lasting in that shingle style, and I was right up at the end of Snug Harbor, which is an idyllic New England boating community, and the family was so gracious and sweet and kind, and just invited me into their home for about a month of building this thing, and it was September, so the water was perfect, and there was it's just one of those great memories, and I'm so grateful for a lot of those kind of memories where I get to go with my merry group of carpenter guys that work with me, and we do these things. We put a lot of smiles on faces, and it's just a real joy.
Fantastic. We have to encourage everyone to check out your show on Animal Planet, and it's called Treehouse Masters. Pete Nelson, thanks for being with us. You brought together the bookends of steep and speculative, and some of these homes you'll see online are just fantastic examples of development in architecture and art. In many cases. Thanks so much for being with us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate all of your time and for sharing this with everybody. Thank you.
It's Tree Masters on Animal Planet. That was Pete Nelson. I'm with Marco Rufo from Prudential California Realty. You can reach us direct, 888-2136. That's 888-2136. A segment brought to you by none other than Marco Rufo from Pacific Palisades, Prudential California Realty. We'll be right back.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive savings saving your clients money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower cost. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778 or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license number 0235301.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation with you. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Being drunk wasn't even a consideration. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red. The arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, someway category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce you to Orange County's Office of Michael L. Feld. Nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. Recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction, the record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Feld direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-278-5559. That's 949-278-5559 for the law office of Michael L. Feld. 949-278-5559, or you can text the letters OCDUI to 313131. Welcome back to Nelson Radio, right here on KTLK AM 1150. That was an unbelievable segment that we just came from, talking about this developer, Pete Nelson, building tree houses across the world. And I stumped Rick Kurtz from Resources Dynamic, Marco, when I told him the largest treehouse that he showcased, 15,000 square feet, built across a canopy of 7 different trees.
You know, that to me raises so many questions. I don't know where to begin or where to stop.
Yeah,
I have to talk to him after the show. I got to talk to Pete.
Unbelievable,
Nelson.
Fascinating part of development. And these homes are homes. They are homes, and they're beautifully done. I mean,
literally with showers, bathrooms, kitchens. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, the whole thing, the whole shoot and match. So we're into the state of the industry, and I wanted to keep both of you on. Thanks for staying with us. But specifically, we want to focus in on what's made headlines all week. President Obama touring the U.S. and talking about the housing reform. And at the 10,000-foot level, he's talking about dismantling Fannie Mae, the Federal National Mortgage Association, and Freddie Mac, the Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation, and it's making sensational headlines across the media. What's it mean? What's it mean to Joe homeowner in any level of market, luxury market or entry level, to a homeowner, home seller, home buyer? Does it have impact? Is it going to unseat the momentum that's been built up now with this housing recovery? What do you think, Marco?
I absolutely think it will definitely impact certain sectors of the real estate market. In the high-end luxury market, I don't see too much of it being affected by some of this reform. However, there will be other things that come from it. Now, there will be very smart individuals out there that will figure out, okay, well, now let's start this type of mortgage or
well, and on the
mortgage
side, there's part of this housing reform that does speak to ma and pa America, and that's shortening the holdout periods for people that have gone through the Great Recession, the short sales and the foreclosures. Instead of that holding period that can be as long as 7 years, shortening that up for only 1 year, so that people, if they've recovered from that economic trauma and reestablished themselves over 12 months, they can jump back into the market and say, you know what, I can buy a home again.
I think that's fantastic. I think you should definitely do that. But I just believe there's a lot of innovation out there. There's a lot of smart people out there. And if Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae go away, I think there will be replacements in the private sector.
You know, if you think about it, it's a smart thing for the government to do. If you look at it from 10,000 feet down, if they dismantle that and they replace it with something that works, that's better, that has a new, fresh perspective, that's a good thing.
Well, and it fits with the theme of our show in terms of
Sure does.
innovators and innovations. This kind of new thinking typically comes out of the public sector, of somebody that says, you know what, let's do it this way, and it's going to be far healthier, far less risk, far less exposure for a government having to come in and bail out.
It's good for the consumer.
I think that other things will spawn that will be light years ahead of where we are and the way we are thinking today, because I do think Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are archaic.
I agree.
Well, and this dovetails exactly into the cornerstone of your business practice, where you are forward-thinking in terms of continuing to learn, to continue to refine your resources. It showcases what you do, Rick, with Resource Dynamics in the seminar that you have coming up at the end of the month, in terms of we are in a new normal as far as our business environment is concerned, and it takes new education, new methodologies, new systems and disciplines, and that's exactly what you do.
And we should welcome that.
I absolutely agree. I think it's healthy, a new perspective. It's good for the consumer. It's good for the industry. It's good.
Well, more options is always best.
More is better.
In this category, yes.
There you have it. We want to thank you for being with the show. Rick, appreciate your input on the show with Resource Dynamics, and do really encourage our agent community to pay attention to the seminar coming up in Long Beach. You can find out more about that on nelsonradio.com. You can contact us direct. Marco Rufo, an excellent performance. Thanks so much for being excellent performance. You like that? You kind of stood up straight when I said that.
Thank you, Nelson.
Yeah, thanks for being with us. Marco Rufo from Prudential California Realty. Contact us. You can reach us direct. Guess what? We'll answer the phone, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136, or at nelsonradio.com. Find out about that Academy Mortgage lock-and-shop rate guarantee, where you freeze today's interest rate. It's waiting for you at the finish line. The safe and sane approach to buying real estate in today's market. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back with you next week.